Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Stoney.
Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Man, everybody survived Thanksgiving. How many pounds did you put on?
I ate a lot. Turkey with all the trimmings. I love pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Plenty of that. And
Pumpkin pie was the subject of our last episode, wasn't it? Or one of the subjects.
Yes.
love pumpkin pie.
Yep.
And
How many pieces did you eat?
a pie.
A whole pie? You ate a whole pie? Wow.
I
Okay.
ate the whole pie.
Okay.
Wow. In one sitting?
Oh no.
No.
not
Okay,
one-
that's
not
good.
One, not one sitting. I don't have
Over
that
the
much
course.
room.
Two
but-
sittings?
Yeah, 'cause I went to my girlfriend's family and we did something there, and then we went to my parents and had Thanksgiving. They had already started, so when we got there, most people had left,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
and so we were able to just eat whatever
The leftovers were.
Yeah.
and believe me, there was still plenty left over after
Yeah.
that. So, and the next day, went back there for lunch and had that. And this
That's
past
cool.
weekend, we went to a little downtown restaurant called Cecilia's Creole Bistro
Mm.
in downtown Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And I had been there before. Very good.
Mhm.
If you love old fashions, they have a fig,
Okay.
infused old fashioned,
Sounds fun.
Really?
which is really good.
Kind of makes me wish I had my smell and taste buds back now since the accident, because I would
It's-
enjoy that.
I mean, I love that fig infused old fashioned from there. So we had drinks and we had some food, and so it was a good night. And
My brother is he went to culinary school for a while, and I would say he's more the cook of the family than anyone else, and so he was able to make the turkey, and it was really good.
baked or fried.
He baked it.
Okay.
I mean, he had like a whole special thing he did.
My
with
mother
it or
is
whatever.
is partial to baked than fried turkey, even though I love fried turkey.
Oh yeah.
Fried turkey's good. I like to spatchcock the turkey now. If I'm gonna bake it or grill or put it on the smoker, I'm gonna spatchcock it. And what that does is it flattens it out and evens it out, so it cooks a little bit more evenly.
Right.
And so the breast doesn't dry out before the dark meat does, and it just kind of gives you an even cook of it. And it's pretty interesting if you want to Google that, spatchcock turkey. And you can do chickens too like that, but it's just a little bit easier to do the turkey.
Right.
And it's pretty fantastic because you're putting this, you can poke holes in the skin and salt it a little bit, and that'll help harden the skin. But then you're pulling the skin away from the meat too, and putting butter on the inside between the skin and the meat, a little garlic butter or something.
Yeah.
And
I went through some butter. I tell you what.
when you were making our brown sugar
No,
butter,
no,
chocolate
no.
chip cookies.
I mean, I do go through some butter with that as well, but no, for all the I made all of the. My brother made the turkey, and then I made all the side dishes, side pieces.
Did
and
it
all that stuff.
include chocolate chip cookies?
No, I
Really?
didn't make any more
What the
cookies.
what?
No,
More. See, he made some.
I made some. I made
uh-huh.
one. I made one batch of them. I told you guys about it because it was. I started it after we recorded, and that was for a special group that I'm a part of. They
See,
really,
we're not
really
a
wanted
special
some.
group, Jason.
And they had never had them before, so I'm trying to get the word out there more towards people who haven't had them yet. But I'm gonna
Start
make them.
charging some money for
I
this.
need to. Well, I have to get people. You have to get them hooked first, and then that's how you get them.
Yeah, but after you get them hooked, us,
I know.
you have to keep them
I know,
supplied too,
I
you know.
I know, and I haven't had the time. It takes time to make those, but I will. Trust me. Before the season's over, I'll make a few more batches. I believe, and you will have some. I promise.
Do you have anything to drink while you're making these cookies? Do you have like a little thing you like to sip on? You drink 'em
Sometimes, yeah.
coffee,
So
or-
I am a big fan of Guinness. I like Guinness. It's just I like darker beer, anyways. But for some
Right.
reason, I always go back to just a tried and true Guinness.
Okay.
And I usually that, or depending on if I have some opened or not already. I'm also a big champagne guy. I like champagne.
Okay.
If I have some, I think I have some prosecco in the fridge, from over the past few parties we've had. So if I was to make some, I would pour up a little of that. It would be a little nice to But
every Thanksgiving, it's kind of tradition that we
was it the
drink
your
cold duck.
yeah.
So,
I haven't had that yet. Still,
I went to the, was able to find some. It's kind of tough to find for whatever reason. It's just not everybody carries it. But I found some, and so every Thanksgiving is kind of responsible to bring the
cold duck.
there. So believe it or not, still got some more left. So
what is cold duck again? Is it like
it's a sparkling wine?
Okay,
it's a champagne basically. Andre.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
It's just for whatever reason, stores will carry a lot of the other Andre.
Yeah, just the regular
but
Andre.
Cold duck, just can't find it very much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all aren't the only family tradition that uses it at this time.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I've seen some people. I mean, some years back, I dated a girl, and her family mixed cold duck with something else and created a punch.
Oh, okay.
Which was really good too. I think it was cold duck and Sprite.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Not bad.
And they made it at Christmas time. But I've always just at Thanksgiving is when we have it. We don't really drink it at Christmas, but at Thanksgiving we do.
Interesting.
So it was a great, really a good 4 days that my girlfriend was in town, and I went early voted.
Yeah. There's a couple of wines I wanted to get, but I ran out of time with the way my work week was. I was getting ready for all the stuff in December, just ramping up, and so the way how December falls now, it's like the beginning of the work week is like at the top of December, and so so last week was like just trying to get all my stuff done, and I didn't get a chance to go. But there's a few like bottles of wine, a few like brands of wine that I haven't had a chance to try yet that I want to. But
it's not inexpensive.
Yeah,
it's not an expensive brand.
I'm trying to get into some Italian wines. There's a few I've heard some good things about, and I've had a lot of.
Well, that'll mostly be your red wines.
Well, of course, yeah. and I like a good red wine. So
that's my favorite. I'm not a really white wine person. I have to be very specific about it, but
yeah,
I'm more of a red wine person.
Cool. Well, we're getting into today.
Wow. Well, we had another subject for today.
Yeah, we did.
And I know Jason did some preparation, and I had done some preparation, and
that episode is still happening, by the way.
That's right.
What was it again?
It's going to be a good one. It's a general discussion on secret societies.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And believe it or not, someone had introduced this topic, to me, saying this may be something y'all want to talk about. So, believe me, to that person who suggested this, that it's coming.
That's a can of worms. So
it's going to be you can really go down a lot of rabbit holes with that episode, but we're going to keep it kind of general.
Yeah,
I think that's why we wanted to kind of do just a general discussion and kind of lay the groundwork for some more in-depth stuff in the future.
Yep.
Right.
So,
but we're going to have to change that today.
Yeah. So what happened?
Because the events of last night with the Biden crime family protecting their criminal activities. Joe Biden has shown his full hypocrisy and has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. And when I was looking at it, and it was a full and unconditional pardon.
Really?
And that I'll get into that in just a second. But when I was looking on the internet about this, a lot of the younger people were going, well, what is a presidential pardon? So the U.S. Constitution decrees that a president has broad power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Okay. So in this case, the president's full and unconditional pardon is unusually sweeping because it doesn't just cover one act or two acts. It covers any potential federal crimes that Hunter Biden may have committed during the time of 10 years from January 2014 to December 2024.
Wow.
So it's a broad stroke. And that this period takes in Hunter Biden's tax and gun offenses, dates back to when his father was vice president and supposedly using his father's influence to do some things. And so while this pardon represents legal forgiveness and ends any further punishment and restores the rights of said Hunter Biden, which includes the right to vote and run for public office.
Yeah, it went back to went back all the way to the time when Hunter was involved with Burisma Holdings, which is a Ukrainian gas company.
But not only that,
so it predates actually.
Not only that, but that's also the time when the CIA was taking over some of the activities in the Ukraine, and Hunter Biden's investment portfolios included the laboratory that was looking for the coronavirus. How many years before COVID?
Yep.
And so it completely encompasses all of these activities.
Well, I'm gonna read out to our listeners what the actual full pardon said. This is the exact quote. This is what came down from.
Well, let me throw this out there. This is what he faced: 25 years in prison for the gun case and 17 years in prison for the tax cases. And this is what this pardon fixes.
Right. So this is the actual pardon. This is what the actual official statement is. He goes, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchasers, people have almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filed out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in this case come about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and impose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's case. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he was my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, which has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I've followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this conclusion." Signed, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America. So, here we are.
I just feels messy. I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to do something like that, but I understand. After
hearing that, I need to take a shower.
Yeah,
I just feel like
look, I'm as much as I can. I understand him doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And I'm not one. And to me, this goes back to a very deeper problem we have in this country because of what we all witnessed with Trump and the lawfare that was used against him.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we live in a world with tit for tat. And so the Trump allies basically said, okay, you want to play this game? We're gonna attack you.
Yeah.
And so do I believe that if these charges would have been used against any other person if it wasn't Hunter Biden? Probably not.
Well, but see, you say that, but then a lot of these things come about because the laptop disappeared, and the only way to get the laptop to the public was to have a court order for it, and these were tools to get that laptop.
Exactly.
Now, what this opens up is now that the Biden crime family judicial system, the weaponized FBI, can now destroy that laptop.
Yep.
And now we won't know the truth of what was ever on that laptop.
And the thing is, you'll never know. They will make that thing disappear. Oh, yeah. But that's
the minute he signed that, it disappeared. It got destroyed.
That to me is what the problem is, though. Is we have got to stop this. Because I don't like the guy in office, I'm going to investigate them to hear the kingdom come. We have got to get to a point in this country like, if that's the president, that's the president. Let him do the job, and we'll have an election in 4 years, and we'll see about somebody else if that's the will of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But this bit of going in there and making these people's lives miserable because I don't like them politically, it's just got to come to an end. We have to stop this. And I was against this idea of I would have been in favor of Trump pardoning all this and end this charade of what we think is justice, and it's just not. We've got to stop this of doing these things. And I'm not naive in this. I agree. The laptop issue, I do believe Hunter was compromised. I believe Biden was compromised.
It was beyond compromise. I think Hunter Biden was using his dad's position as president and vice president.
What family, though, would not do that?
Really? To the extent that they did? He wasn't just saying, hey, get me out of this ticket because my dad is the president.
No, I agree.
He's talking billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Right.
Laundered.
I agree with that. I'm not saying it's right, but I do know that people are going to take advantage of, if my daddy is the president of the United States, if this is a means for me to get rich, guess what? They're going to use it. Now, to the extent that what he was doing it, I believe he was pushing it beyond the envelope here. I'm very. A part of me understands Joe Biden doing that as a daddy, is protecting his son. Because look, at the end of the day, blood is thicker than water.
Joe Biden's not smart enough or has enough cognitive skills to do this. You can tell from the letter that you just read, that was not Joe Biden. No, okay, that was somebody else. What he's doing is he's sticking it to the establishment. And what he really should have done was go ahead and pardon his son and then turn around and really stick it to the establishment and go ahead and pardon Donald Trump too. Because they were both subject to the same thing.
Right.
If you're going to do it for one, do it for both.
Right. No, I agree. And
he wants to stick it to the establishment because of what they did to him by, not letting him run again. Go ahead and stick it to the establishment in full. Right.
I agree with that. To me, if you really want to take the high road, Joe Biden should at the same time say, look, we have to end this.
Yes.
And because of this, I am pardoning Trump of any and all wrongdoings.
Because we did the same thing to him.
Exactly.
That was done to my son.
This ends.
Yes. He actually could go down in history if had he done that.
Of being gracious.
Of being gracious and doing something right.
Exactly. And
I agree. 100%.
But unfortunately, I think the handlers were never going to do that.
No.
I mean, look at the case in New York. They've kind of indefinitely.
Well, some of them have been withdrawn. Some of them are done.
Well, the federal stuff, the state level stuff is where I think. Well, last time I read, the judge had indefinitely postponed sentencing.
Yeah, that Jack. What's his name? Jack. Whatever.
Jack Smith.
Jack Smith. He knows his ass is grass come January the 21st.
Right. And
so he's pulling everything out.
I look at everybody, throughout the 34 felony charges against Donald Trump and said, what exactly was he really charged with? And if it was anybody not named Donald Trump, those cases would have never been brought.
Everybody in America that has sold a house or sold a business has done exactly the same thing that Donald Trump has. If you go and your house estimated value as $150,000, you're going to turn around and value it. I want $185,000 from my house.
Right.
Because you're going to let somebody talk you down a little bit. And you're going to hope that it's a little bit higher than the appraised value. Okay. And that's why so many businessmen were leaving and getting ready to leave New York, because they've all done the same thing. Exactly. That's what they do. You evaluate your stuff a little bit higher, go get a loan, or go sell it for this. Donald Trump never not paid back a loan. Every loan he got for his values.
Everything was sufficient, was handled.
Yes.
And nobody was out of any money.
There was no victim.
So that's what I'm saying.
How can you have a crime with no victim?
That's what I'm saying is this stuff has got to just stop. Mm-hmm. It has to stop. And as I said, I agree. The laptop stuff, that should have been brought to light. Mm-hmm. If you were compromised and you're benefiting from this illegal, and considering we're having this ongoing deal in Ukraine right now, where a lot of taxpayer dollars are being spent in this foreign country, I think that should have been brought to light. But as a father, I understand a father's wanting to pardon his son.
That's why I
get
said
that.
A second ago, I was like, I feel like that shouldn't be allowed, because that feels wrong. That, like, obviously, like, if you are the president of the United States, obviously you want to take care of your children, but like in a situation like that, I feel like there should be some rules in place where it's like, well, there's a lot of things against Hunter Biden right now, and I don't think that I don't say he's immune to being,
well, he's
but
now,
but it feels, I don't know.
The feds, he's out, he's in clear now.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about it.
I know
for anything he did or may have done in a 10-year period, which I disagree with that. If he wanted to pardon him for the gun and the taxes, fine.
Yeah,
but he did it for just this huge broad range of 10 years for what he may or may not have done. That is not a pardon.
Well, you'd have to go back to Gerald Ford pardoning Richard Nixon.
Again, like I said, in
any other something that broad.
Mm-hmm.
In any other context, like I think I could be convinced, but the fact that it's a father to his son doing that's where I'm like, okay, now we're starting. I feel like there should be some regulations in place for that. That feels a bit too free.
Unfortunate,
because now it's like it opens up the possibility of like, well, I mean,
exactly,
I can pardon anybody in my family.
Well, I think fundamentally, it's now because of this. I think the whole you've set a precedent now.
That's what I'm saying.
They've set a number of precedents now. Okay, with trying to put Trump in jail. Now this, how many precedents does the Biden crime family want to set before he can leave office?
Yeah, I mean, there have been other presidential pardons.
But,
I mean,
the sad thing about this is, the American people don't trust the government as it is. Something like this is going to just scream distrust. This is just, you cannot be trusted. You cannot be believed. You never tell the truth. how far is this going to hurt the American people in their trust of their government? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm looking at this little statement. Professor John Crouch from American University told CBS that if presidents from both political parties feel free to abuse clemency without consequence, the pardon power becomes less of a tool of grace and more of a political instrument. Which kind of ultimately, that's what it was designed for.
Grace.
For grace.
Yes.
And but I mean, there've been others, though they're not as expansive as the one that has just been issued by President Biden. Bill Clinton pardoned Roger Clinton, for the cocaine charges, if I recall, back in 2001 was his last day of office. And also Trump pardoned Charles Kushner before he left office, which is his son-in-law's father, of tax charges. So, but those pardons were very specific.
Very specific, yes.
It was not this kind of broad, because which to me, the idea that you would say crimes he may have.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that to me, it's like, okay, well, if all the talk was he never did anything.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Well, basically what you're saying is, okay, all you conspiracy theorists, everything you said he did, yeah, he didn't do it, but you can't, even if you prove it now, you can't do nothing about it.
Right, exactly.
The thing is, from the situation I'm coming from is, like you were saying before, I can understand a father pardoning his son, but this letter we just read is talking about how it felt unfair. It felt like it was all one-sided. It was all this. The letter was talking about all this stuff about how, I hope that people can understand my decision and all this kind of stuff. And again, like Stoney was saying, I can understand that if it's coming from a place of like Biden was to pardon select things that may have had the conflated stuff. But once you start going down the list of, in a 10-year period, crimes that have committed or may have committed, now I'm like, okay, now you're just trying to cover. That feels you're covering your bases.
That's what they're doing.
I don't. It seems like I don't want to be mean, but it's coming across as a father trying to protect his, his addict son.
But basically, what they're doing
by paying off the.
Now they're reinforcing the Republicans and Donald Trump, and they are completely, almost in a way, the Democratic Party is split two right now because of the failure of Kamala Harris to win the presidency after, spending $1.5 billion and now $30 million in debt. And remember, this is the lady who said she was going to fix our economy. Okay. And she's $30 million in debt on her campaign. But also, instead of, they keep pushing their policies and things like that. Now he's going to end his tenure like this on something like this. So instead of talking about, their policies and what they've done, how hard is this going to hit the Democratic Party now? Because now they can't talk about policies. Now they can only talk about this. It's going to be hard to get your younger people to believe in you now because your transparency is gone. The belief in the system is gone. The old people already don't believe in them. Now but remember, we talked about this in one of the episodes about, how much the younger people voted for Donald Trump because they were so disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. How much more of a split is that going to cost now? Because people really aren't going to believe. Remember, the Democratic Party was the champion, supposedly, of ethics and transparency and things like that. Now you just thrown that out the window. It's gone. His last act as president, and I actually think there's going to be one more act. I think there's going to be one more act.
What do you think?
I think he's going to walk away and make Kamala Harris the president for 20 days.
Why is that? Or what do you...
Stick it to the system.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt from what I've been able to see is there's a lot of anger, I think, in the Biden family toward the National Democratic Party of how that whole thing was handled. it's I don't know. The Democratic Party is in disarray right now because I think they've unfortunately they have gone so far left in so many of their policies that many of their core constituencies that once made it the Democratic Party no longer even identify with them anymore. I mean, it's a shame that what that party has turned into in many ways. Not that the Republican Party is perfect, because believe me, it's got its own faults too. But I think most people would look at the two parties and go, what party seems to be have more common sense thinking?
Well, think about this.
Is Republicans right now.
He's pushing the drain the swamp thing. He's pushing, stop these elites from protecting themselves. Donald Trump doesn't belong to any military industrial complex. He doesn't belong to any of these things. And he's saying, let's drain the swamp. Let's clear some, the elite protecting their own. So now he's going to be resonating with his populist base and beyond, because this gives him ammo in his gun. In the political game, when you have two people in a duel, basically that's the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, both have a gun. Neither one of them have bullets for that gun. The only time you do something like this pardon puts the bullet in the other guy's gun.
Right.
And how far are they going to be able to spend this, with elections coming up in a couple of, another 2 years for more seats in
Congress.
You have
the
Congress.
Congressional election.
You got the congressional election coming up. Well, how much are they going to be able to push and use this to help drain the swamp, so to speak? Because right now your Democrat Party's already split. How much further are they going to be able to use something like this to split it even further?
Well, it's so funny. I guess it wouldn't be funny, but talking about this pardon that happens, that the language mirrors the language in Ford's pardon of Nixon, which did not merely cover the Watergate scandal, but extended to all offenses against the United States that Nixon has committed or may have committed between January 20th, 1969 and August 9th, 1974, the exact span of the Nixon presidency.
Wow.
So I guarantee you they looked at that pardon back then and basically, we're going to copy that and use the same exact thing. So, yeah, we are, but this doesn't surprise me.
No,
and we've unfortunately we've allowed our politics to go so far awry, where politics is meant to benefit the well-being of the country, and it's now basically just been warped into just a tribal thing that only benefits a few people. And I hope, my hope that is this, hopefully with Trump not running again, that we might be past some of this acrimony, I guess would be the right term I'm looking for, that exists in our politics right now. And we can just simply have an election. Whoever gets elected, and they govern for their 4 years until there's another election. And you can bring up all the, why the reason this person's a terrible candidate or this person's a good candidate or whatever the case may be, that we can get back to at least some semblance of that. But I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, but you also have to think about this too. This is not just a pardon for Hunter Biden, but this is a pardon for Joe Biden also. Okay, because now you're shielding Joe Biden.
Of course.
From, okay, because if you can't go after Hunter Biden for him doing these things, and Joe Biden, what was the thing? Hey, if you don't get rid of that guy going after my son in the Ukraine, I'm not going to give you this $1 billion here. Well, that kind of wipes that slate clean too. So Joe Biden is effectively pardoned two people in this one stroke of the pen. Indirectly, he's pardoned himself, because now what you going to go after him with?
Right. Exactly.
So he's basically kind of done that. I know you got to look at it, but that's exactly what he's done.
You ready for a conspiracy time?
Yeah, I'm always ready.
What if I don't know any of the details of all this, but what if Biden was like scapegoating his son and having his son like do all this like dirty work for him just to inevitably pardon him anyway? So now all this like secret, all these like bad things that his son was doing is actually him. It was all like just Joe Biden doing it vicariously through
No, I actually believe that's not a conspiracy theory. That's actually exactly what was happening. He sent his son over here to do this.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be a way that we can launder, $300 or $400 billion back to, some of the and you can look at the list, and it's not just Democrat, but it's Democrat and Republican people who some of this money laundering has come back from Ukraine to hundreds of millions of dollars to U.S. politicians.
Well, unfortunately, I think
and that started with Burisma.
Unfortunately, for those politicians that have been benefiting from the arrangement with the United States and Ukraine,
that's going to end the 21st of January.
That's fixing to come to an end. So I think people are trying to figure out what their next moves are. But as I said, people, I'd be very curious when Trump comes in. There's been talk of Trump pardoning all the January 6ers.
Well, this gives him fuel to be able to do that.
Yeah. Now, to me, those people have been languishing in jails and prisons that were not even having trial dates.
Right.
Which is a joke. And some of those people that they arrested for doing that, to me, is a miscarriage of justice. So hopefully, I hope they pardon everybody involved in that. I wouldn't be surprised if he pardoned Steve Bannon. We know Steve Bannon was sentenced for, I believe, for obstruction or contempt. He wasn't going to release something, and he got sent to prison for that.
Right.
But he's been released, and I'm hoping that that President Trump will pardon all this, and hopefully we can move forward and actually try to make America great again, which means we got to focus on real important issues. We got to focus on getting the economy rolling again. We have to get some critical manufacturing back to the United States. The idea that I'm buying my medicine and everything is coming from China doesn't make me feel good.
I agree.
Considering that a lot of our military is funded with manufacturing that comes from China. I think we need to get back onto some basic common sense stuff. I'm glad that the abortion issue now is no longer a national issue, and let people fight that out in their own states.
That's right.
And be done
where
with
it should be in the first place.
Exactly, where it needs to be, and not be to me, I'm a firm believer that the United States needs to focus on those things that the original founders said that the federal government was responsible for.
Which did not include the United Nations, which did not include going to wars, which did not include sending our money anywhere else. If you follow the original Constitution, none of this stuff that we're going on. Here's a fact for the American people. I don't know if you remember this or not. This country was started on a 2-cent tax on a breakfast beverage.
What?
Okay. And now if you can be in 2 wars, you're taxing your people too much.
Trump talked about, and it kind of raised a lot of eyebrows about the possibility of the United States possibly moving away from an income tax.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
And this country was funded upon tariffs back in its early industrial revolution time. And it had plenty of money. And so, it'd be very interesting to see how how that discussion kind of evolves.
Well, think about this. Think about this. You got Dodge coming up. Okay? Department of Government Efficiency.
Right.
That's coming. What do you think is going to happen to those 87,000 plus armed IRS agents that they just hired, they're done. Bye-bye. Because they didn't arm those agents to go outside of the United States and do anything, did they? They hired those agents to come after American citizens. I believe I saw a statistic that the IRS bought more ammunition last year than Homeland Security. What are they gearing up for? What are they getting ready for? What are they going to go after James Brown at 4:00 in the morning and pull him out of his house in his underwear? Is that what we're expecting to happen to us now? You know, hey, the Pentagon has failed 7 audits in a row, but they can tell me that I owe them $37.62. They've lost how many billions of dollars, and they're going to come after us? I want to see what Dodge is going to do. I can't wait to see. I really hope that they use every possibility to trim the fat on this government. They need to do that. And they can start by stop spending money outside the United States of America.
Well, I think if the pardoning gets us past all this mess that we've been in since 2016, 2015, 2016, I'm all for it. I'm hoping when Trump does come in, and it's coming, he starts pardoning people that, the other side doesn't like.
Right.
Yep.
I'm hoping that to say, look, we have to get past all this. As long as you leave this festering wound, it's never going to go away. We have to end this. So my hope is that these pardons actually kind of get us back to neutral again. And hopefully we can move forward as a country. And we'll see.
Yeah.
As I said, not holding my breath. I just think maybe we in some sense, maybe we've crossed the Rubicon and we've gone too far. And maybe this is just the way it's going to be from now on until it eventually, the money eventually runs out and then we're going to be in a mess. There's a lot of issues going on that we need help. We've got to get things, we have to get people that get it to a point where people believe in the American dream.
Yes.
We have to get back to this. And unfortunately, there are forces that are keeping us divided and keeping us distracted from really the solving of real problems in this country. And I'm hoping that maybe we'll get past all this. But at the same time, I've been watching clips of his press secretary. No, we're never gonna pardon under Biden. The president supports the, here it was, and this is what I'm talking about. This was a case where he was found guilty by a jury of his peers.
Right.
So it's not like it was some. He was just charged and he was languishing in some jail somewhere, waiting. The evidence was heard, and a jury of peers thought that he was guilty. So, in many ways, what they said about Donald Trump, regarding all the indictments that were leveled against him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just think we need to move on past this. I really do.
You said something a second ago that these things happen to hide things. What are they hiding with this? We're paying attention so much to this Hunter Biden horse hockey, what's really happening in the background? While we're paying attention to this so hot and heavy,
well, I personally think right now the biggest money laundering situation right now is going on in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So anything, they have to cover their tracks because they know the train's coming to an end, you know? So we have to close off any loopholes that could possibly expose us to this. And so it's just what it is. I mean, I said, a part of me understands it. If that was my son,
right,
I would feel like I can't leave my son to the fate of my political enemies, because they're going to probably go after him. Because I believe with the nomination of Kash Patel as FBI director, part of the reason that plea deal, I think, fell apart was because of part of the reason was because of the new incoming, or the nominated Kash Patel was somewhat against that that plea deal. So I think, knowing the kind of person Kash Patel is and what kind of reforms he's going to make to the FBI, I think they're basically saying, you know what, we have to do this because we don't know what we're going to get with Kash Patel as FBI director. And I'm not saying I'm against Kash Patel or for Kash Patel. I do know he's a Trump loyalist, and there was some issue with him beforehand that he tried to expose some things in the FBI that I believe got him ousted or something to that effect. There was some fallout on his part. But you know, we all have seen now Trump is going to be going to shake things up, and some of these nominees are going to be quite radical in what a lot of these people are used to. So, you know, my hope is the new ATF director is coming in, needs to basically make. I'm of the personal opinion the whole National Firearms Act needs to be revisited as something that I don't believe is constitutional.
Well, the ATF is not constitutional. This is just a bunch of non-elected people swinging around some cojones, thinking they're swinging around some cojones, trying to stop all it is another political weapon for the wrong people, and it's being abused right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just need to do away with the whole NFA. I mean, going all the way back to 1934. I think the way they justified getting that bill passed was, you know, of course, during the mob days and, you know, the Tommy guns and, you know, and all that stuff, that law would be looked at. And to me, I just would rather just, you know, if not that, I mean, just go back to prior to 1986, which I thought was how that was done was kind of sneaky, but that's, you know, me as a gun person and gun rights. I think some of these things are a little expansive and a little constraining. That all it does is hurt law-abiding people and prevents law-abiding people from having things that are very responsible with. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, it's like, let's stop drunk drivers from killing people by stopping the non-drunk people from driving.
Yeah, that's basically what you do.
Okay. That's what you're doing. So you see, you're going to leave the drunk drivers on the road. What you're going to do is remove the non-drinking people from the road so they can't die anymore, so that the drunk people can continue to do what they want to do.
Right.
Well, Hunter, it's interesting. Hunter's reaction. I don't know if y'all read his statement that he gave. He goes, "I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. Mistakes that have been exploited to publicly humiliate and shame me and my family for political sport." He goes, "I will never take the clemency I've been given today for granted, and I will devote the life I have rebuilt to helping those who are still sick and suffering." So, you know,
you actually believe that bullshit.
Well, I'm just saying this is what he said. So,
yeah,
you know, I don't know Hunter Biden personally,
right?
So I don't know the guy's heart. I really don't know what's really going on. Is he a fallen human being? Yes. You know, unfortunately, he got himself into a lot of trouble, And unfortunately, I think he's just not very rational in his thinking, especially if he was, addicted to drugs and stuff like that, because I know what that does to people. But, does that excuse him from basically doing what he did? I think his actions put the United States in a compromising position, which in essence, that means all of us.
Yes.
And that's where the problem comes in. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not one to, as I said, I'm surprised it's taken this long.
You thought it was going to be done sooner?
I think that probably would have been done sooner. But, Joe Biden has about another 50 days to be president?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's about roughly, yeah.
Yeah, January 20th is when Trump gets sworn in, so.
That's crazy that I remember us having an episode, a few months ago and thinking like, oh, it's less than 100 days till the election. It's
right? I remember
30 days till the election. And now we're sitting here like, oh, that's already passed, and here we are on the other end of it.
I mean, it is a very broad, the ability to pardon crimes. But
see, he's not pardoning a crime. He did pardon 2 crimes.
Well, yeah, he did pardon crimes.
But he pardoned more than the crime.
Right.
He pardoned his possibility of actions.
That maybe he did commit something wrong that nothing has been brought up that was wrong.
Yet.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, hey, it's a good way of basically, it's a catch-all. That way you're not looking over your shoulder and it's done. It's like, okay.
Yep.
We'll start over again.
Wow.
But, I mean, yeah, we're I don't know what the political fallout. I mean, Biden is, for all intents and purposes, he's hardly there. Everybody knows Joe Biden's career is over with. I mean, wouldn't be surprised how much longer he lives after.
If it's actually the real Joe Biden.
Well, that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah. But we'll save that for the conspiracy episode.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't.
Just remember, conspiracy theorists are up 32-0 right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, they give them a lot of ammunition.
Yes. Hey, the libraries have removed the conspiracy theory to the daily news section now.
Stop.
Yeah.
You said that you think that Biden's going to try and swear in.
I think he's going to walk away.
Okay.
I think he's going to walk away. And
besides,
what is if he's not for Kamala Harris?
Doesn't matter.
Why would he do that?
That Candace Owens isn't the first female president.
Well, I don't know who will be when the time.
And if you really want to screw people over, why don't Donald Trump just say he's a woman? Identify as a woman, and he can be the first female president.
Yeah,
I mean that is an answer.
Some of the craziness that's been going on in our country over the last 3 or 4 years, nothing surprises me anymore. I know that that little joke he said at the Al Smith dinner to Chuck Schumer was just hilarious. I remember that. He made some comment about Chuck, wanting the first, Democrats want the first female president, and basically said if something to the effect that it could still happen because of the whole thing of identify as a woman and I would be the first female president. I mean, so I don't know. It's just some of this stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
So, but Trump reacted in a way that.
Oh, what did he say?
Oh yeah, he just basically said it was a miscarriage of justice, and on and on and on. I wish Trump wouldn't have said that. I wish Trump would have just simply said, well, he's president, and well, I personally disagree with that particular pardon, but I understand as a father trying to protect his son, kind of taking more of the high road a little bit.
Right.
Showed a little graciousness.
But no.
But nope, he didn't. So but that doesn't surprise me either.
Of course, no, yeah.
So, it's just, but there's been several Democrats that have expressed dismay over this.
Huge. Just, this is what I'm saying. Where the party was divided before.
Oh, yeah.
This is really, they got some big time people coming out and saying, no.
Well, they say,
because I think they realize that he's protecting himself more than he's protecting his son.
Right.
He goes like Greg Stanton, it's a Democrat representative of Arizona, posted on X, said, "I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong. This wasn't a politically motivated prosecution. Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Donald Trump never had the jury thing.
And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene says Joe Biden is a liar and a hypocrite all the way to the end. Now, former U.S. Attorney Eric Holder posted on X that the pardon was warranted. Of course,
right.
Eric Holder, that's another far left in his politics, and I believe he was under... was he under Obama or Clinton?
I don't remember.
Eric Holder. I don't remember. Yeah.
Let's see. I think he was under Obama.
Might have been.
He was selected as the first Attorney General.
Under Obama,
Biden, yeah.
Under Biden?
Holder was a close ally and confidant of O'Biden and was selected as his first Attorney General.
I like the way you said that, O'Biden. Instead of Obama,
O'Biden,
yeah, because everybody thinks Obama's still the one pulling the strings right now through the Biden
on
thing.
On
the under Clinton, it was Janet Reno.
Right. Yes.
It was Janet Reno.
That was a great fraudulent slip there because that's perfect because everybody still thinks Obama's still pulling the strings. That's funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kept saying, Biden. I was like, what do you...
I did.
It's great. It's perfect.
I didn't mean that.
That's brilliant,
that was really
actually.
An accident. So.
No, it's perfect accident. I loved it.
Yeah, Trump basically said such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. He said he brought it the January 6 rioters, some of whom he had suggested could be pardoned when he takes office. So, yeah. We're... it's
we're on the other end of this. I guess we'll see where this all takes place. Like we said earlier, I can't believe that we're, just about 2 months out from, or less than 2 months out until the inauguration, which is crazy to think about. That
so
time has been flying.
Yeah.
The pardon grant referencing crimes Hunter Biden may have committed is notable because the special counsel investigating him hinted at evidence that foreign interests paid him to influence the U.S. government, which could have violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It's over with, so he'll go free. Mm-hmm. And what he did or didn't do, and now that his father is leaving, he's not going to have any more influence. Nobody's going to need him.
I guess they just take their money and run now, right?
Yeah,
pretty much. That's it.
Take your money and run, and
so
go snort it up his nose, and just don't get caught after December
whatever
31st.
Business he gets into next. Hopefully he saved his money.
I really do think. I mean, obviously, I know you were saying this is some of it's factual, but now that I'm hearing about this, it may not be Joe Biden specifically or whoever Joe Biden's handlers are, or whatever you want to consider that as.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it really does feel like that it feels like Hunter Biden was the scapegoat all along. That they're just you can be drug-addled, you can do whatever, just show up and just play your part, do this thing, and then we'll reap in the money, and then, of course, eventually, later on in the future, I'll
just pardon you.
And you'll be fine. It's all good.
I kind of
just
agree
trust
with
me.
that
Just trust me. Just trust the process.
Yeah.
anyways, that just feels kind of shady. So, I mean, all of it does, but still.
Well, I mean, any of these kind of situations are going to be shady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
You are talking about the government.
right.
Of
I
course.
mean, look, people at that level of power and influence,
Hey, you've all
they don't operate under the same rules as you and I do. They don't.
You've all heard the thing. Why does the government like you to steal, kill, and rob people?
Why is that?
Because they don't like the competition.
There you go.
Unfortunately, in many ways, we've just kind of lost our way. I mean, we have. I mean, this is this kind of greatness that I believe we've lost. Somewhere we got off the tracks, and maybe it's inevitable. You know, we are the top dog in the world. There's no country that matches us. You know, and I think with that comes a lot of decadence and just looking out for me. And we've kind of lost that sense of being an American and kind of that interconnectedness that I think permeated our population at one time.
Right.
Well, we talked about it in the fourth turning. You know, we had easy times, and now we've got weak men handling situations for us, and they're going to create some hard times, and those hard times are coming. And we're in the middle of the weak man industry right now. They are destroying this country, the fabric, the world.
Yep.
And you know, until the strong men get back into the saddle,
Right.
we're gonna have problems. And
Yep.
Joe Biden is a prime example of a weak man. And I'm sorry, he's the president of the United States, at least for the next couple of hours, and until he steps down so that, you know, Kamala Harris can be president. But and I say that in jest. I don't know if he is or not.
I don't think nobody wants
I say
Kamala
that in
Harris.
jest. I'm just joking.
I don't think anybody wants her around.
No. And but it just shows you what happens when you got weak men in power.
Well, I think, I mean, you know, Joe Biden in his prime
Was still a liar. Was still a cheat.
Yeah,
Couldn't tell the truth for nothing. His character is a weak man from day one.
Well, unfortunately, the people of Delaware kept reelecting him. Unfortunately, that happens everywhere. I can.
Well, think about how many times Nancy Pelosi's been elected.
I think her.
You know, these people have been in power since the 80s, and yet they want to blame Donald Trump.
I think her train is fixing to come to an end too. I think we're seeing a shift.
Yep.
I
And
really do.
this thing right here, this pardon, can help push that agenda.
Kind of on a different subject, but did you see that Bill Gates now wants to work with the Trump administration?
Everybody wants to work with him.
Of course.
Bernie Sanders said he wants to work with him.
Yeah, because they know they ain't gonna have nothing.
That's right.
They're gonna be useless. And so I hope that Trump takes. You know, don't let them flatter him.
I recently had a discussion with a friend of mine, and I think that the discourse feels a little different now. Like things feel different after the election, but not for like the big reasons we've talked about on this show, but like the more subtle reasons of like, I think that certain people are starting to realize that there is a majority. There's a majority that voted the way that they voted. And I think that some people are starting to catch on to that like, we thought that those people were the you know, the kind of more silent minority or whatever that they were that on the other side. Or the people that, all the people that voted for Trump were all radicals. But it's like, then you look at the polls now, and there's an overwhelming majority of people that voted for Trump. And so I think that, at least for me, looking around and having discussions and talking about it is like, oh, so like, I think we've had years and years and years of feeling like we may have felt one way, but you have to be silent. You may have felt one way, or you just can't talk about it. Because again, the liberal side may get more upset and may, try and cancel you or whatever. But now it's like, oh, we're in a world now where I think that there are more people that I think believe a certain way than I thought, at least for these current times we're going through. They may not love Trump, but I think they like him more than.
Well, you see, one of his biggest opponents was down at Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
You saw Justin Castro was down there, right? I mean, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was down
Freudian
there.
slip. I'm playing.
No, that was not. That was
I'm
I know exactly
I'm
what you were saying.
highly.
Yes.
But he was down there talking to Trump.
The point that I'm making is
not even president yet.
Right.
And he's down there talking to Trump.
Not only do I think that I believe that a lot of people are starting to see that Trump's in office now, and I think he's going to try and get stuff done. But I think it's also that there is a majority of the American people are also behind him as well.
Yeah,
and that's what's different. It may not be just the fact they may not have any programs anymore, they may not get funding. Those are very big deals. But I think it's also this
they're trying to stay relevant.
There's this subconscious now of like, oh, maybe I'm the outside guy now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm the one that is easy to get made fun of now. So let me go ahead and jump on the bandwagon for everyone else.
Right.
And now, I mean, for like I said, for all the same self-preservation reasons of funding and wanting a job or wanting to stay relevant, but it's more so the fact of like, oh, maybe like I got to stay cool. And if everyone thinks Trump's cool right now, well, I got to be okay with Trump, even though I talked so much crap about him for so many years.
I think Trump has successfully basically made himself. He's the cool guy.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think
he's the cool dude.
Don't get me wrong. I think he still says some stuff, and I'm like, man, I just wish you would not say that stuff, or not be like that. But I do agree that I think that there are people now that are like, I think a big thing too is I think that podcasts. I think that YouTube, and I think that like where we are now, there was a point in time 10 years ago where major media used to make fun of YouTube and content creators and podcasters and things like that because they had the corner.
Yeah.
We're in a world now where legacy media doesn't have the corner anymore.
Elon Musk said,
I'm saying,
we're the new news.
I'm saying Donald Trump can go on a handful of podcasts and
reach millions
and reach
of people.
a bunch of people and make them see like, oh, maybe he's not all bad. Whereas anybody on that other side of the spectrum didn't do that.
Well, because they filtered it.
100%.
They filtered it.
We're in a different world now.
Thank Baron Trump because he's the one who convinces Dad. Look, you need to go sit on this podcast.
Cool. Well, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Like we had mentioned at the top of the episode, we're going to have we have plans to make one about secret societies and things like that. So if you have any questions or have anything you want to throw into the mix there, go ahead and toss it to us. We have a Facebook page at Retrospect Pod, or you can give us an email, getitfitedtogether@gmail.com. The website, what is it again?
Retrospectpodcast.com.
Retrospectpodcast.com. Or you can also leave comments on Spotify and YouTube, all those different places you can get involved with us.
History is rarely about isolated events. It's about the patterns, choices, and consequences that echo through time. Today's discussion about President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter is a powerful reminder of how personal decisions can intersect with political narratives, altering the course of history. As we move forward, let's not forget that every action, no matter how small, leaves a mark for future generations to analyze and interpret. Thank you for taking part of our journey with us today, and as always, we invite you to reflect on what these moments mean for our collective understanding of governance and justice. This has been the Retrospect Podcast, where hindsight helps us make sense of today.
Until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless.
You're the best. Peace.